Here are the cops of London town, hard working, brave and true. They drink their tea, stay up till 3 and take good care of you. Here are the robbers of London town, with crowbars and skeleton keys. They prowl and creep when you are asleep and take whatever they please. Ho ho for the robbers, the cops and the robbers, ho ho. The worst of the robbers, as most of you know, is dreadful Grabber Dan. His voice is gruff and he's pinched enough stuff to fill a furniture van. His mates in the gang are Snatcher Jack and Babyface Billy the Bag, Pegleg Horace, Fingers Morris and villainous Grandma Swag. Ho ho for the robbers, the cops and the robbers, ho ho. This dreadful snatching, pilfering bunch would rob a baby of his lunch. This sneaking, creeping, fingering lot would burgle a burglar, like it or not. This peg-legged, baby-faced, villainous crew would pick the pocket of a kangaroo. Now we hear there's worse to come, for the robbers are planning, the scallywag scum, to make a haul on Christmas Eve of all the toys they conceive. Like crooked Santas they'll creep about, pinching presents and not giving them out. Ho ho for the robbers, the cops and the robbers, ho ho. The best of the cops, by common consent, is upstanding Officer Pugh. He ran like a hare and fought like a bear, and he's good at crosswords too. So on Christmas Eve, when the trouble began, the station sergeant said, the thing to do is send for Pugh. He'll get them, alive or dead. Listen, Pugh, said the sergeant. The problem is this. There are toys going missing galore from size of job. We suspect it's a mob. What they need is strong arm of the law. Ho ho for the robbers, the cops and the robbers, ho ho. Meanwhile, in the gloomy street, the strong arm of the robbers was making a treat, and the strong legs too, and the beady eye, keep watch for the passers-by. In at the windows, in at the doors, down the chimneys, under the floors, through silent rooms the robbers crept, while in their beds the children slept, dreaming of Santa Claus and snow, and what they'd got from Uncle Joe. They never knew that Uncle Maurice was robbing them, and Uncle Horace. Ho ho for the robbers, the cops and the robbers, ho ho. The lookout man was Snatcher Jack. He stood in the doorway yawning, but when Officer Pugh came into view, Jack saw him and whistled a warning. Grandma Swag, when the warning came, was pushing a pram up the road. It was piled high with loot and stolen to boot, a thoroughly villainous load. Hello, hello, said Officer Pugh. Now then, what's going on here? Not much, young man, said the criminal Gran. We're just having a robbery. Ho ho for the robbers, the cops and the robbers, ho ho. Before Officer Pugh could unravel this clue, the robbers were on him like beasts from the zoo. They knocked off his helmet and rumpled his tie, trod on his truncheon, kicked mud in his eye, pulled his ears and tickled his feet, threw half of his clothes all over the street, punched and pummeled him when bam slap, wham bam slam, even ran over him with the pram. Give up, the robbers cried as they sat on the officers side by side. We've got you outnumbered 5-1, for in the confusion Grandma had gone. But Officer Pugh just shook his head. We've hardly started, boys, he said, and he laughed a laugh and grinned a grin. Sitting comfortably, are you? And then I'll begin. With a sullen leap he bounded free and handcuffed Horace to a nearby tree, tied Morris up in an empty sack and beat the daylights out of Jack. Help, shouted Billy, this can't be fair. That Pugh's not human, he fights like a bear. My mother was right, crime doesn't pay, and with the words he fainted away. Grabber Dan was the last to cop it, Grandma, of course, having chosen to hop it. Dan tried to hide, the officer sought him. Dan tried to run, the officer caught him. Dan went to lift Pugh over his head, the officer lifted Dan instead, and whirled him round and swung him, whoosh, across the road and into a bush. Down he tumbled, skiddled and rolled, hit a concrete gnome and was knocked out cold. Pew dusted his hands and sat on the wall. A little snow had begun to fall. He looked at the gnome and patted its head. "You could get a medal for this," he said. "Ho, ho for the cops and the robbers, ho, ho." Here are the cops of London town in the station at 2:30. They drink their beer and raise a cheer for upstanding Officer Pew. Here are the robbers of London town in cells all gloomy and grim. "Let us know, let us out, not guilty," they shout, "and it wasn't me, it was him." Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and the robbers, ho, ho. And the toys, oh, they were taken back, but by Santa Claus, copper with a Santa Claus sack, while the rest of the force searched day and night for an elderly lady of medium height, with a fondness for earrings and a red fox furs, and a habit of taking what wasn't hers. She usually carried a sizable bag. Her name, of course, was Grandma Swag. Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and the robbers, ho, ho. I hope you enjoyed that story. We'll be back with another one next week.